All right, we're going to go ahead and roll into our next media availability here. We now welcome in last year's Chicago Street Race winner, Shane van Gisbergen, driver of the number 97 Colleague Racing Chevrolet. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll start up front here with Holly.
Hi, Shane. Holly Kane with the NASCAR Wire Service. 2 questions. As you're flying into Chicago, do you kind of get a real good vibe? Do you like looking down and seeing it, considering what happened? And secondly, more importantly, now that you've had more experience in NASCAR and been a part of this, does it make what you were able to accomplish last year in the Cup Series to come in and win your first race even a bit amazing or a really feel-good moment for you when you think about what you did that had never been done before?
Yeah. Morning, everyone, firstly. Yeah, it's cool. I'm not much of a city person, so there's not enough grass here for me, but I guess we're racing in a park, which is cool. But yeah, I prefer countryside and getting away from people. But yeah, it's cool. It's special to come back here. And as you asked, being here for a year, yeah, it does have more meaning now, knowing more how tough this series is and how good everyone is here. But yeah, we just had a dream run, but ready to try and do the same again. Preparation's been pretty good, and looking out there now, track looks amazing, and the weather looks like it's going to be pretty good, which I'm excited for. And yeah, hopefully it's a good race weekend for everyone.
We'll go over to Bob, then Nate, then Zach.
Bob Hawkers, Fox Sports. You didn't get to experience double file restarts here last year. Now that you've gotten a chance to experience some in Cup, what have been your impressions of it, and how will it impact, you think, this race?
Yeah, I think here it's a little different where it's placed. You kind of get going just before the last corner, so it's a huge advantage to be the first guy because you'll be clear by the exit. But yeah, if you're third row backwards, it's going to be carnage, or not carnage, but very difficult to stay clean through there. So yeah, I think that worked out pretty well last year, but this year it's going to be tough. I watched the Xfinity race, and they got through it very cleanly, but the outside guy lost positions every time. So it's going to be a fight to be on the right-hand side and try and not give too much up to get there, I think. But yeah, looking forward to that. I think it'll be different on the ovals. On the ovals, it's crazy the way everyone races here and takes 50-50s. They pretty much take all 50-50s and just get involved in a crash, or they don't. So I'm a bit more reserved at the moment for that, I think.
Go ahead, Nate.
Nate Ryan, NBC Sports. Shane, last year, obviously, this is what got the ball rolling. You win this race, and suddenly you're racing full-time in NASCAR months later. When you look ahead to Sunday, are you looking at it as potentially like, hey, if I can repeat, if I can win and have all the spotlight on me, all the attention, that can really kind of solidify my future even more in NASCAR in terms of, the Cup path that you want to pursue?
No, I don't think like that, but it would probably certainly help, getting a good result both days and showing I can keep running up front on road courses. But I'm not trying to put pressure on myself, saying I have to win to get in Cup next year, but certainly a good result will help that, yeah.
And last year, Kyle Larson was marveling at the move you made on Haley to win. Can you kind of take us through that move again? And are you anticipating that you won't be able to use that maybe in year 2 because people will have sort of figured out it might be coming?
Yeah, I think I did the same thing at COTA as well on someone, but to me it's normal that I see stuff Kyle Larson does in ovals and I go, what the hell, how did he do that? So it's relative, right? It's what I've always been used to, is this kind of racing and making moves like that. And on the ovals, there's people doing stuff to me. I'm like, how did he come up with that, or think, know that I was going to do the opposite? So yeah, it's kind of just, I need to get better at the oval stuff, and they're going to keep getting better at the road course stuff as well, I guess.
Go to Zach.
Zach Sterniolo, NASCAR.com. Anytime you can get laps on a course, you're going to be improved the next time you come back. So for Sunday, how much do you anticipate the Cup field sort of closing the gap to you, understanding how these cars react on this racetrack and having better understanding, but also for you doing double duty on Saturday, your experiences in the Cup car, which generally handles on these types of tracks way better than the Xfinity car does. So can that in any way be a disadvantage for whatever your Saturday might look like?
The car difference is huge, but laps and reps overcomes that by so far, especially what we're going to do tomorrow morning. The track is going to be completely different to how the Xfinity race finishes, so getting to experience that will be a huge head start for Sunday, which is why so many Cup guys are probably in that Saturday race. Just get reps, get comfortable with the walls on both sides of the car, and just, this racing is so different from anything we do all year. So, yeah, I think for sure doing both classes is going to be more of an advantage than a disadvantage. So I forget the first part of your question, but
First part, just how much do you expect the rest of the Cup field to have closed that gap to whatever your capabilities are?
Yeah, cool. I think for sure there'll be more of them. There was a lot of guys who were fast, 5 or 6 fast guys last year, especially in qualifying. There were some big laps, but this year there's just going to be more. There's more guys with data. More guys will have better setups, learning what they learnt last year. I think there's going to be a big chance to be 10 or 15 guys. You just, that's the best thing I find about NASCAR. It's not the same people every week. It's so competitive, this series, and so tight. So hopefully it's us that's in there as well.
We'll go to Jerry, then Jordan, then back to Holly.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. So it's been a year, obviously, and a lot has changed in your life. What is anything you miss? The biggest notices of being here now versus last year? And like I said, do you miss being home? And because you completely upended everything.
Yeah, I miss New Zealand a lot for sure, but I love it here. I really enjoy my racing. I love racing every week. I love having a routine, knowing what I'm doing pretty much every day till November. That's exciting. I got 2 weeks off or 3 weeks in August, and I have no idea what I'm going to do. It's a weird feeling. I love this style of racing, the atmosphere, the people, and the schedule. So, yeah, I'm loving every moment, and I definitely think I made the right choice, and I feel like it's a really cool place for me. Been welcomed by everyone, whether it's team people, drivers, and the fans as well. It's been really cool to see how welcoming everyone is, and yeah, really enjoying it.
Go ahead, Jordan.
Jordan Bianchi, The Athletic. There's a lot of talk about the field catching up to you, and they've got more experience here, et cetera, et cetera. But you also have more experience here in NASCAR, like green flag pit stops and all the procedures and everything like that. Yeah. So whatever advantages they gain, are you also gaining an advantage too because you have all this experience now?
Yeah, for sure. Like I have learned a lot with the Cup car, and I had a really good time at the Wheel Force test actually at Sonoma, where it's like essentially my first test day in NASCAR. You don't really get to test much here. You're learning as you're racing, so it was good to have 2 days and experiment with the car and the tire and push things. And I went off track a couple of times just learning, and got to try different brake pads and suspension, stuff like that. So yeah, got to learn what I liked and what I needed from the car, and for sure I'll be better this year too, knowing what to expect and what I want from the car. Last year's car wasn't perfect by any means, but yeah, I think we'll all be taking a leap forward, that's for sure.
Go ahead.
Me again, down front. Kind of along those same lines. Last year when you came in, maybe everyone wasn't super familiar with you and knew what you could do. So having said that, this year, do you come back and there's a slightly different vibe? I mean, they know this is the guy that's setting the standard, and, do you expect it to race it all differently?
I'm not sure about that, but I certainly enjoyed last year. I'm a pretty quiet guy, so flying under the radar pre-weekend was awesome for me. I just focus on my job and do well at it. The media stuff's pretty overwhelming sometimes, but getting used to it. But yeah, I know for sure there's probably a target on us, and people are going to be looking at us a lot more and trying to study what we're doing. But just got to keep our head down and expectations in check, and our prep has been really good with all the caller guys, and then obviously some trackhouse input as well. So yeah, I feel ready to go and prepared, and just got to go out there and do it.
Go to Jeff, then back to Nate, then Jordan in the back.
Shane over here. You said you enjoyed flying under the radar, but there did seem to be some, like when you look back on it now, like the announcers could barely pronounce your name. I mean, you had the drivers, even after the race, who were like, I didn't really know that guy before this at all. Was there any sort of thing even in the back of your head that was like, there's a little bit of disrespect here? Like, I am 3-time Supercars champion. Like, nothing like that?
No, not at all. And I think the funniest one was Brad Keselowski did a tweet afterwards, and we did the track walk and must have been next to each other, and he's going, did the track walk, have no idea who this guy is, but now I do, or whatever. So I found that pretty funny. But yeah, I know, like it's hard, especially in this series when you're racing every week. It's hard to have the blinkers off and watch other racing. You're so ingrained in what you're doing and focus on yourself. So I wasn't angry, I guess, or disappointed in them at all. It was cool to just come in, but that changed pretty quick after practice and quali, I guess. Yeah.
Go over to Nate.
You kind of just addressed this, but last year was Project 91 Trackhouse. This year you're in a colleague racing entry for Sunday. You said you're going to have some input, though, from Trackhouse. Could you kind of just address that? Like, will there be much of a difference, or are you anticipating anything being different in the car, or are you just going to make sure that it's kind of up to like Trackhouse standards for what you had last year with colleague?
I guess that's the beauty of both. You know, we had the teams that were first and second last year having input this year, which is awesome. And Travis Mack, who's the crew chief on the car this weekend, he was a Trackhouse guy last year. So it works really well already having that relationship set up. And it's been good on all the ovals we've done so far. And yeah, Travis has been at the shop most days this week helping prepare the car and make sure it's right. And then went in the Corlig truck to get here, and those guys will run it all weekend. So it's a real combined effort, but it was a little messy maybe at Coda. Could have been better, and every week the relationship's got better and better the more races we do. So yeah, really confident how it all works now.
Go ahead.
Hi, Jay Cohen, Associated Press. How would you describe your knowledge of this track, given that it looks like a dry weekend, so there's definitely different conditions, and then you have everything that happens to a street course over the course of a year with the weather here and everything else that goes on. So, like, what would you say about what your knowledge is of this track, and at this point? Yeah, good question. Street tracks are different every year, no matter where you go. Like the barrier location's always different, whether they're put inside the curb or on top of it, and the track always changes. So I haven't walked around yet. I'll do that tomorrow morning, and you just basically, I'll just be trying to look at all the barrier locations on apex and exits just to see the differences and how the barriers line up and stuff. And then I hear there's some resealing as well. So I haven't been there yet, but basically the corner directions are the same, but there's always small differences. And then with only 2 classes on track and a year's worth of traffic in between each race, it'll be really interesting, and the track didn't really ramp up until the end last year when it dried up. So it was like a reset. Whereas if it's dry all weekend, the track will be completely different. But it should be a good racetrack. There should be a lot of passing if it's completely dry. There's great passing zones here for a street race. So hopefully it's exciting.
Go to Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Shane, you've talked about your adjustment to the ovals, and I'm guessing that you've probably talked to a lot of drivers in the series in trying to get their feedback and understanding of things. Yep. So I'm sure maybe it was at Sonoma, Portland, and even here, people are asking you have the advantage. What is that like to, instead of getting the knowledge, now kind of giving it to your competitors? Yeah, obviously I've got a lot more questions this week, but I don't mind telling small things, but you're not going to tell every secret, I guess. But I'm completely open to Daniel and Ross, whatever they ask, and Zane. But yeah, it's been, the track walk tomorrow, we'll do that together maybe and try and talk things, Those guys were fast in a lot of areas. Daniel was really quick last year in a lot of spots. So, but yeah, for sure, I don't mind helping those guys because I certainly ask a lot of questions the other way. But yeah, I'll keep a little bit in the pocket because you want to win as well. Yeah. And I'm curious too, is just how much was there that openness among competitors in the supercars? Is that something that is just universal, or is that something that's kind of different here? No, it's pretty similar there. The supercar guys, they were all good guys, and you still keep separate, but everyone was pretty fun, and you talk about it a little bit, but between manufacturers, it's not as open as it is here, I guess. Yeah.
Come to the back.
No Opposer, Northwestern. I just wanted to know, how do you deal with changing expectations from week to week, going from ovals where you're still learning and not having much expected of you on ovals at this point in your career versus going to a road or street course where you're automatically expected to contend for the win? Yeah, good question. I kind of just have been letting the road course stuff happen this year and
not focusing on it as much because you just, like, I just know I'll be good there, you know, and I do the usual prep, but I don't do more so, whereas the ovals, like, I try and study as much as I can. You know, with SMT, previous races, onboards, I'm trying to soak in as much as I can and really focusing on getting better at the ovals, and I feel like I had. Iowa, I made some errors and had a bad weekend, but I felt like it's been pretty steady progress, you know, and then Nashville was the most comfortable I felt on the ovals, and I feel like I've said that on the last few oval races I've done. So certainly moving forward and getting better and more competitive and racing around pretty good guys, it feels like. But yeah, the road stuff just comes. It's almost like a holiday, a road race weekend for me. I just relax and have some fun.
Go over to Cole.
Cole Cusimano, Arizona Republic. Shane, you mentioned earlier in regard to the competitive gap being tightened that there were a handful of drivers that were really fast last year, and there could be a larger size this year going into this race. I'm curious, after watching film and going through the motions of the race, who were some drivers that you feel are going to be your biggest challenge this weekend?
Yeah, again, there's so many guys in this series. If they hit it, they're on. You know, there's 10 or 15 really good road races now, and then the rest of the field aren't slugs either. It's pretty impressive how competitive everything is, and especially how much road racing there is now. Everyone's gotten good at it. But yeah, I really enjoyed racing. I think it was Christopher Bell, Tyler Reddick, and Kyle Larson last year. All of us at the start, and just seeing how comfortable they were, their proximity to the barriers, and how much they were pushing in the wet. I remember being pretty conservative in the wet and let them through a little bit at the start, and it was pretty cool to watch. You know, those guys, they're relatively inexperienced at this stuff, and they were pushing pretty hard. It was cool to watch, and yeah, I think it'll be those guys for sure up front. But I think it was Denny who was on pole as well. He was going really well. He hit the wall unfortunately early, but he was fast too.
Any additional questions? We have one in the back, and then we'll go to Bob first, though.
With everybody having your SMT data, can they copy what you do? I mean, is it that simple, or do you feel like all your years of experience, they can look at it, but it's going to take them a while to be able to do what you do?
Yeah, the SMT stuff is amazing on the ovals, but I hate it on the road for that reason. They can see what you're doing, but yeah, I guess, you know, I right foot brake, my brake technique is completely different. So, you know, it would be very hard for someone to switch over like me on the ovals. I've never left foot brake before, but you can't really left foot brake or right foot brake on an oval. So I've had to learn that technique. But if I tried to left foot brake on a road circuit, I'd be miles off the pace. It's such a different technique and way that you control the car into the corner, and I do it with the clutch, they do it with the throttle. So yeah, it'd be very hard for someone just to try and emulate what I'm doing, I think. But you can still see gears, proximity, steering angle, stuff like that, and get most of the basic stuff down, I think. Yeah.
Go to the back.
Shane, Samuel Stubbs, yardbarker.com. You come and run this race last year, and you mentioned heading into it, you know, you weren't really well known over here. You go out, you whip the field, you win the race. Did you ever envision last year, even if you won, that it would ever translate to what you're doing now, a full-time Xfinity career and opportunity maybe in the Cup Series in the coming years? Did you ever anticipate that a full-time NASCAR career could be in the future for you when you came here last year?
Yeah, not at all. It was just a one-off at that point, and yeah, as I said, I went to Nashville the week before, you know, a year ago now, and just opened my eyes how cool the racing was, how open it was for everyone. And I took my dad there last week. He's come over for the weekend, and you know, we were just standing right on the pit wall as the guys were doing their pit stops. And you know, I was dropping him at the corporate suite. He didn't like the heat, so he wanted to get to the aircon. But we stood on the back straight on the way out, and we just walked right up to the fence on the side of the track. And I don't know if we should have done that, but we were standing right on the inside wall, right when the cars were going past, and just like the experience here is awesome, you know. And we just both had a little moment without saying anything how cool it is here. And yeah, we're all really enjoying it, and it's been a huge 180 for me in my life and career. But yeah, I'm having the time of my life.
Any final questions? All right, great. Well, thank you, Shane, and good luck this
Thanks,
weekend.
Guys.
All right, there's the checkered flag. Great job, driver.